Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. How you doing, man?
I am I'm doing okay. I had to make a quick run there after I turned it on.
Not a problem.
So so how's everything with you?
Oh, it's good. It's, it continues.
Yeah, but I can tell from your voice that the pace has slowed a little bit.
Not really.
Really? So what's the recovery all about? Because your voice has more energy.
Yeah, I think for some reason or other, I developed some, I don't know what it was. I just lost my voice.
Okay.
And I started taking some multivitamins and stuff,
Hmm.
eating a little different. I don't know, it just came back. But I don't know if it, because I don't have allergies or anything, but it was like allergies was, dripping in my throat and all that, the
Right.
mucus. And definitely I was tired, but I'm not working as hard now
Okay.
also. So I'm bouncing back, brother.
This is good to hear.
But
It's good.
I still got a lot on me.
Well, I mean, that's good and bad, right?
Yeah, I can't complain. I just hard to find good help, and I need some help. I can't do it out there in my office, but it's hard to find it, brother.
So in North Carolina, maybe this is nationwide. I don't know if it's nationwide or state to state, but when you intern a college student for like a summer, because they're about to be out. Basically, they're doing finals or they're done with finals. Like somebody who's a junior accounting major, and they're looking for internships in the summer. They're looking for places to work. do you have to pay them standard wage or is it a reduced wage or how do they handle that in North Carolina?
Well, a lot of interns don't get paid, period.
No, I thought that period was over because I had to pay my interns beginning in 2018. This is Texas. This is why I don't know if it's state to state or if it's federal. I had to pay them. It was a law. It's a law. So, and the graduate school that I hired my two interns from, the graduate director, placement director, or whatever, she sent me not only the wage scale, but she also sent me the job description of how I had to describe the job because there were some regulations that, this person is this particular type of student. They study whatever, right? I mean, the two
Hmm.
people that I got were in computer sciences and stuff like that. So there was a job description that went with it. There was a pay scale that went with it, and I had to pay them at that scale.
With the ones I've hired, I mean, back it up. There is no state law that says you can pay interns whatever. The only state law right now, there isn't even a state law that say you got to pay them $15 an hour
In North Carolina.
in North Carolina.
Okay.
So that's not it. But what I did, I would pay them. I would give them uh minimum wage if they worked out. But the problem with that, when that period of time came around, I had somebody. I thought so. I didn't need them, you know.
Okay.
So now, but it's just trying to find somebody that can be reliable, man. I mean, that's the main thing. And whether they're interns or not, they tend not to be reliable.
Is it is it the workload or is it this
Oh,
that they don't have work ethic?
work ethic.
Wow.
I mean, the main thing is you know it's bad when the Asian clients I have are complaining.
Mm.
I've, I've never had an Asian client complain. I had a lady in my office the other day, and they have a Chinese restaurant. It's Adam. I can't find workers. I mean, them are the workers, you know. And you know, it's a problem with it's affecting their youth, you know. The only ones that
Mm.
work are the ones that are not legal to work. Like I got
Okay.
Indian restaurants for my client, right?
Hmm.
He got two illegal Mexicans working in the kitchen. He don't pay them on the table at all. He pays them under the table, you know. And about 2 years ago, one of the guys that worked with him in the kitchen got mad with him on some money, and he went and got a lawyer, and they sued him. I'm trying to figure out why is he suing when he's illegal?
Right.
But they won.
Oh my goodness.
This is weird, brother. It's weird. It's weird. So
You can't cheat the cheater. I guess that's the motto there.
exactly. So I mean it's really it's weird, brother, and you don't know what you can do or whatever these days. So, and I got a Filipino guy, he works for me. Now he's not illegal, but his wife is Filipino and she works in the hospital. She got a 3-year contract at the hospital. So I guess he came and came down. He missed the mom, you know, they got 3 children.
Hmm.
So he can only work from 1 to 5, right? And I told him, I said, well, when tax season hit, as long as you can be consistent during tax season. This man came up to me after the first week in April and told me he was going to take off. I forgot what period of time. He'll be back at work on the 13th of April. Tell me his wife off and he got a family outing plan. I
Oh my
said to
God.
myself, oh my God, he's gone. I'm gonna get rid of him.
He got rid of himself.
Really, but I mean, he still work for me because the last thing I want to do on the last week of tax season try to hire somebody.
Hmm.
So then, I don't know if I told y'all that, I got a server and 4 workstations. All the workstations have been running on Windows 10. You know, Microsoft is phasing out Windows 10, right?
Right. Yep.
Windows 11. Well,
Yep.
I can't upgrade the workstations to Windows 11 because they don't meet the requirements for Windows 11. So right after tax season, I contacted the guy I get my computers from. He told me there's nothing they can do. They can't load Windows 11 on those workstations. I had to buy new workstations at about $1,100 a watt. I said, man, I wish I had known that during tax season. I'd have had that 11. I'd had that $4,000. I would go up on everybody, put a surcharge.
Right. Of course.
Oh man! So now I've been trying to phase on those new computers on what I got, and then it come down to I got to upgrade my QuickBooks,
Hmm.
and QuickBooks is phasing out on March 31st.
Yeah, I saw that too.
So I got to get QuickBooks 2024, which I've already got a copy of it. I'm what's called a professional advisor, pro advisor, and they get every year when I renew their plan, they include in that the latest version of QuickBooks. So I went on my computer to where I can't upgrade QuickBooks until I get a new system in. So y'all do a do-off for me that the next 20 days works out. But these computers, these computer software, everybody's fighting each other. You know, Microsoft is fighting Apple, whatever. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm dealing with now. So, anyways, that's my problem. I'm good.
Well, there's many of us share these particular problems because even if you have the newest version of Microsoft's operating system, the integration of all of your other stuff outside Microsoft,
Hmm.
I'm telling you, it's not clean.
I know.
It is, man, I get ghosting screens and all kinds of stuff
Hmm.
because so much of the new software is tied into uh, AI and the ability to rapidly adapt to all the changes that are happening in generative AI,
Hmm.
from imaging to the agents that they now have that you can get to do work for you, all this stuff. So the code's very flexible, which means that your operating system also has to be very flexible to be able to adjust to all the new code that comes in. And yeah, I get some stuff that gets bumped off every now and then. I mean, simple stuff
Hmm.
that just, today it works, 3 hours tomorrow it doesn't work.
Right, right.
And then you come back later that afternoon and it's working fine again. It's, it's a brave new world out there. If you don't stay on top of it, your stuff is like, what am I supposed to do? I'm
Exactly.
actually gonna, I have a friend who's basically turned both his desktop and his laptop. He's turned it over to agents and he just talks to it now and walks away and lets it do stuff. Because he said if I was sitting there trying to do it, I would get so frustrated, I would break the whole system. He just talks to it now.
Well, see, they ain't got
And
nothing to do, that had nothing to do with me, brother. I
I
don't need,
know, none of us,
I don't even need AI to do it.
but you have it no matter whether you want it or not, it's there.
Exactly. Unless the A stands for Adam, I don't need it. And everybody's trying to merge it that way, and then they got it. They worked in there where they get a fee. These little
Yep,
nickel and dime fees that comes to my account, I had to go through now and figure out what am I paying for,
right.
and it's crazy, man. It might not seem like much, but it's 6.95 coming to about 50 times.
Oh, yes. You don't know how many times a day that Microsoft hits me to try to get me to pay
Mm-hmm.
for something that I don't need.
Right,
It's embarrassing. I feel bad for them because I'm never going to buy their stuff,
right.
but I'm running their software on. I got two laptops now. So one of them is an older Apple. I mean, I needed to get an Android or, regular a Microsoft system just for the amount of data that I had. So I went and got another computer, less expensive than an Apple, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm running both, and it just kind of depends on where I'm doing as to which one I'm on.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't keep up, and I am absolutely there are about three apps that are essential to what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And if the prices start going up on those applications, I'm going to price myself out of being able to help some of the clients that I have.
Exactly. Exactly, brother. It's terrible. Mm.
It is. So welcome, Brother Rabbani, Imam Tariq, Imam Talib.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum
Assalamu alaikum.
salam. Thank you guys. So it is 15 after. Let's go ahead and formally open. Imam Tariq, will you open us up this morning?
Yes, sir. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
Mean. Well, thanks everybody for being here, and I'm sure we'll have some folks joining us. Go ahead. I interrupted someone.
No, I didn't know you were going to say something. I just wanted to make a brief comment concerning
Okay.
me coming in where you all was at, talking about these different programs. And I was trying to utilize this free trial Microsoft Office for one of the laptops I have. They
Mm-hmm.
never sent me what it was, the key.
Right.
And then they sent me an email saying I'm going to start being charged for it on the 12th of this month. And I did everything I know to do to cancel it. As they say, you up until what time that you have to cancel, it wouldn't cancel. So I ended up having to cancel my card, so they wouldn't charge me.
That's the way you gotta do it,
Wow.
brother.
Yeah,
Wow.
That's the way you
law
gotta
for
do it.
yeah, because I'm like I did everything I know to do to follow their rules of cancel before this date come, so et cetera, et cetera. Because you have to enter your card number and everything. And
Right.
I'm like, oh my God. So I ain't had no choice but to call in. I didn't want to go through all those particulars with the bank. So I just told them I lost the card because it's easier to get it canceled
Yes.
than the other method.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So I used to run into that problem. And, even I would put on my schedule, like 2 days before they were supposed to start charging me, I would do a review. Do I really want this or do I want to cancel it? And inevitably, about half the time, some other issue would come up, right? Something that really and truly need to be handled, and I would miss the date. And the next thing I know, I have a $59.99 whatever hit to my credit card or debit card.
They were gonna hit me for 375.
You did the annual, right? You were doing the annual. So what I did with my bank is I got my bank to send me another debit card. So it's like a secondary card that you can fund. So I have two debit cards. It's not a credit card, and I can fund it. So now, whenever I have one of those things, one of those trials, it goes on that debit card, which at most, I mean, just so I don't get the little notice every day, there's a minimum of $50 that stays on that debit card. Because if it falls below $50, they start sending you an email every day saying you're in the danger zone or whatever. So I keep $50 on there. And the way that I manage it is if I know, like for example, somebody sends me something and it's going to be $49 a month. For that period of time, I'll shift money from that debit card to my other debit card, leave like $5 in there. So if I make a mistake and they try to hit me with the bill, they're not getting any money. They're just going to have a sad face asking me what's wrong. Did I not like the product? Whatever. I don't care. And I have managed not to get billed for like the last 3 years using that approach.
Well, that gives us an opportunity as a credit union to come up with a system where you won't get these kind of things. You
Well,
know?
see, if you sign that, if you're the consumer and you sign that agreement,
Oh
there's
yeah.
no,
All
there's
right.
nothing, there's nothing that the bank
Can do, yeah,
can
exactly.
do to stop it unless you have notified the vendor that you don't want to get billed, and the vendor goes ahead and pushes through a charge against you anyway. So you
Yeah,
have
I
to
got that.
obviously you got to keep a copy of your correspondence, right?
Mhm.
And then it's pretty easy to go to your bank and your bank will reverse all that stuff. Though I will tell you that it's always easier to reverse a credit transaction than it is to reverse a bank transaction. Credit transaction gets reversed like within seven to 10 business days at the most. Bank could take you 60 to 90 days to get your money back if it's off your bank. Just different rules. Has nothing to do with them being slow or not wanting to do it for you. It's just different rules that they have to follow. Found that out the hard way too. Got my money
Yeah.
back, but it took a while. So, I mean, these are little things that we learn,
Still,
right? That you pass on to customers and stuff like that. Our credit union customers will pass that kind of information on to them as to just the rules of the game. Things to do, things to not do, especially when you're walking the tightrope monetarily. Don't put yourself in this danger. Do it this way instead of that way.
And that's education.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. Because I mean, for some people, say that 300 plus bill that Imam Tariq was talking about, if they got to wait 60 days to get that money back, that's life changing. That $300 is life changing and very stressful to them. Somebody else, whatever, it'll show up one day, whatever, I'll get my money back. But to some people, that's a big deal. So I could think about a senior on a fixed income, that $300 could be a big deal. Whether or not they eat, whether or not they can go buy their medication, things of that nature. So, yeah, that's part of the education that we pass on to to our shareholders at the credit union. And just as if we're talking to people, just as Graceline Community in the financial education that we do, those are the kind
Mhm.
of things that we pass on to people. Stay out of this trap. Don't do this. Do this instead.
That's it.
You know,
That's what I'm talking about. Mhm.
right. So, in light of that, let's get a report from Imam Talib about his program today. I caught a little bit of it on Study Al Islam, and just kind of let us know how it went, Imam Talib, and if you got any exciting questions.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I thought it went well. Um, but as per usual, these these things have so many different nuances, just as documents themselves. Not to mention what may apply to you in Texas won't apply to Imam Tariq in Mississippi, or Adam in North Carolina, or Ribani in South Carolina. I mean, it's different everywhere. And I just realized as I was sitting here kind of processing uh, what I did present, and when I'm speaking about these little nuances, one of the things I left out of the financial power of attorney, which is what I was discussing today, is that most of them allow for the representative that you appoint to be paid. And it's something that you can negotiate with that person. I mean, generally, when it's your own child, um, that I'm assuming they're not going to charge you. Um, but in just an ordinary sense, um, there are people who act as fiduciaries and powers of attorney, especially for disabled people. Though those folk are actually paid. I know if you are a fiduciary with the Veterans Affairs, you dealing with a disabled vet, you can get up to 4% of their monthly payment can go into your account. You're paid to actually, to do that. Um, I left that out, but the audience that I was speaking to, my primary assumption was that most of them will choose a family member. Of course, if you're married, um, it could be your spouse, assuming your spouse has the capacity to be able to handle the financial affairs. I would tell you in most homes, it's each home is going to be different. There's no cookie cutter approach to doing this. I personally left this particular conversation to come later in my presentation because it is one of the most difficult. Trying to find that person that you can trust to handle your financial affairs is not easy. And if you don't believe me, I'm sure Google has a list or a percentage of the number of licensed attorneys who have been disbarred for misappropriating the funds of someone that they had financial power of attorney over. Even in our own communities, and I'm speaking of our masjid communities now, under the leadership of Imam W.D. Muhammad. I mean, I've had the experience where the treasurer took money from the masjid with all intents on putting it back, but that didn't happen. Something came up in the meantime, and that what was it? Maybe $8,000. I mean, don't quote me on it, but it was something with zeros behind it. The community suffered for that. But without it, you're going to end up with chaos and confusion, and you're going to find yourself in a position. You're going to find yourself in a position where you're going to have to try and dig yourself out of a hole that you created, because you didn't do these things. And it wasn't all doom and gloom. I mean, there are things that all of us can put in place now as a trade-off that, by example, you lessen the chance of needing a personal representative to handle your affairs if a lot of your payments are automatic. Of course, the danger there is when there's always going to need to be someone to stop the automatic payments, because they will, as long as money keeps going in there, they'll keep withdrawing, every month. And as you were discussing earlier, good luck, in the time that it's going to take to get that money reimbursed. The good news about an authorized financial power of attorney is that most of them, specifically the durable power of attorney, dies when you die. And I mean, it dies the minute that you die. Someone that you've made responsible trying to go into your account and even pay a legitimate bill could get that person in trouble because that document, which is a legal document, expires when you do. There's also different states offer different POAs for financing. There's also a general. There's also a general, power of attorney. some states even have powers of attorney that will allow for just one task to be performed. So I would tell you, all of us, should we ever have purchased a piece of property, um, we've signed a power of attorney for a specific role to be played by an individual who's going to file the documents for you. Then, of course, the one that and I think this is something that we could mention in one of the webinars that we do uh, that Omar does with his financial freedom plan, and that is, listen, one of the things that Omar is offering to us is to say to us, we need help when it comes to our finances. And there is a document that a power of attorney that you could sign, a general power of attorney that allows someone to take over your finances, paying your bills, etc. Perhaps even giving you like a monthly stipend. Um, that power of attorney, terminates once you become incapacitated. Now that's more of what they call a fiduciary relationship, where this person is being paid to manage your account, or accounts. Edward, I would imagine you find that in many brokerage houses that are acting as fiduciaries for clients, that they're given this general power of attorney to make trades, for you. But it was worth having the discussion, and I would tell you this was one of the first presentations that I did on Study Al-Islam on these subjects, where the questions that were being presented to me were they were good questions. They were questions that that I made note of to take a look when I'm consulting with my clients to see whether or not those things apply, so that we can write them into the document. The most important question that I was asked, that I'm going to give some serious thought to, is having, I would tell you, no more than a 5-point checklist of how you choose your personal representative uh, as a power of attorney, for your finances. I thought that was an excellent question, because most of us don't have it. And when I say most, 80 to 90% of people between 50, 55, and 65 years old, they do not have a financial power of attorney. So, I mean, it doesn't take a genius tell me I've been talking all this time muted. Oh man.
No, it was about 10 seconds.
You
Oh,
know,
real? Okay. All
Yeah, it
right.
was about the last 10 seconds.
Oh, okay. So, alhamdulillah. Allahu Akbar. Man, that would have been a mess. But in any event, um, there are the most difficult part, for any of us. I mean, right now, um, there's six of us, on this call. The odds are already against us that we don't have this document, and quite frankly, um, uh, telling me, I'm gonna tell the truth, even if it is against myself. I do not have a formal financial power of attorney. Now I do have a trust, so that kind of lessens it, but I do have a plan to actually have or to create for both me, my wife, and my son a financial power of attorney. Uh, it's not absolutely necessary because of the way our trust is set up, but for the average person that I deal with, I just want them to know that I have one myself, even though I have the trust. Uh, uh, I want to have the same documents that I expect for everybody else to have.
Right. So it's funny. Well, number one, what you brought up about how do you choose this particular
Mhm.
person? That's something that everybody goes through, and I've actually been witness to two or three major family arguments
Mhm.
around a conference table where there were other professionals in the room when the father or the mother was making a decision as to
Yep.
who they wanted,
Yep.
the name they wanted in that paperwork to handle things.
Yep.
You want to talk about upsetting some apple carts
Yes, sir.
and hurting some feelings real bad.
Hmm.
That particular situation, I mean, that's where you scoot your chair back against the wall so you're out of range
Right.
when people start throwing stuff.
Yes.
But
That's real.
this personal situation with me, and I think I sent you a copy of my will of what I'd had drawn up. I don't know if you went through it, but it's
No,
20
I have to
something
look.
pages.
Mm.
It's 20 something pages, the will that I had drawn up. So
I don't
when
remember getting it,
when
but
the
okay. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, when the attorney, when the attorney drew it up, he said, make sure that the people that you have named in here, let's get them a copy out before we execute it.
Hmm.
Because they may not want
Right.
these roles, right? And we're just talking
Responsibility.
about,
That's right.
yeah, we're just talking about the will. We're not talking about trust. We're not
Right.
talking about necessarily about powers of attorney or anything like that.
Hmm.
This is just the will.
Right.
And sure enough, I had one person who I had named as a successor, not even as the main actor,
Right.
but as a successor. If something happens to A and B and C, you're D
Right.
to take on
Right.
these responsibilities. And that person picked up, I'm sure they picked up the phone as soon as they read their name and said, take my name out of it.
Mm.
I don't want anything to do with it. Right.
Okay.
And I sent it to another person, a woman who I was considering marriage.
Okay.
And she was like, where's my name?
Okay. Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir. So you functioned on both ends of the spectrum, man. Oh man. Well, look.
So,
Oh,
Imagine just real quick. Imagine this. I hold power of attorney over a 92-year-old woman who is of no kin to me whatsoever, and she has at least three surviving children, some
mm,
grown grandchildren.
yeah,
All right. and I'm holding the power of attorney. So
Oh my goodness.
I've been called every name in the book.
For sure. Oh, for sure. I
Yeah,
mean, I lived in I grew up in a really small town in the western part of Texas, but I've heard stories of attorneys who were, over the will and, money in the bank of some oil man or businessman or something getting shot at.
yep,
And, and it was a son who may have been one of those drunkards or, whatever, gamblers, whatever, and his daddy gave him a certain amount of money and told him to stay away. And they're just hanging around waiting for daddy to die
right.
so they can get their bulk of whatever percentage of the money is supposed to go to them.
Yep,
And, you know, the attorney is like, no, your daddy didn't want this for you. Your daddy was putting you on a $3,000 a month allowance.
yep,
That's all you get.
yep. That's right.
It's like, I want my money.
Yes, sir. That that is that is a reality. Um, you you never you never it is said that you never really know a person until you have had an opportunity to work with them. Well, I'm telling you, you never really know a person until you all have had some exchange of money, or wherever money becomes involved. I mean, it there could be, what is there, three, six, seven of us on this call right now. If we were in the same room, matter of fact, we may not even need to be in the same room. Someone could just show us a table filled with cash. And the feeling that comes over us when we see that is how we respond to money, particularly cash. I mean, and I can speak about this better than most because I came up in a cash and carry environment. I mean, this I didn't know what a credit card was until I was what in I didn't get my first credit card until I was 32. And that was through my wife. So on the application where it asked if there was another person, she put my name. So, but now we were talking earlier, they've got debit transactions, they've got Zelle, they've got Cash App, they've got Venmo. I mean, you name it, there's and then what? In the last, I mean, at least for me, in the last maybe 4 to 5 months, I've been reading little snippets of stories that not only a penny is going to become obsolete, but they're going to eliminate cash and everybody's going to go to some kind of Bitcoin. So, I mean, man, this thing is changing. It is changing rapidly, and I don't know. I'm not fully prepared for what's coming. So I'm going to stick with what works for me. Um, there's a go-go song here in DC, MasterCard and Visa, American Express. I ain't got nothing against no credit card, but cash is the best. That's that, that I'm gonna stick with that. And let and I'm going to keep you all apprised as to the progress that I'm making personally to get myself out of debt, to start to have a continuation of my credit card bills coming in where I pay them off, or they come in to me and say 000, because I don't owe anything. And so far, I mean, Allah has blessed me to, to bring, to bring that debt down. Because and I read something. In fact, that newsletter that Omar did. I mean, it was excellent. I mean, I happened to read one line in it today that just helped put things back in perspective. Because when in this world now, man, it's easy to lose focus. But that one line he had in there was something to the effect that that debt is normal. All right, and so we always gonna owe somebody. And I mean, and particularly for Muslims, I mean, we live in an environment where we're always repaying the debt to Allah. So and that should be enough for us. so that so that I'm not out here accumulating, more debt. Now I gotta what? I would tell you for maybe the last 10 years, maybe more. I can't even think. I cannot think of the last time I used a credit card to get gas. I don't recall. I don't recall what decade it was. I've paid gas in cash. And I continue to do so. But
Yeah, neither of my parents ever owned a credit card.
right.
Ever in their entire life. Either one of my parents never had a credit
Okay.
card. But
Mhm.
my dad told me something in 1972. I was 15 years old. And he worked around people that had credit cards. I mean, um, I think both MasterCard and Visa, American Express already existed too.
Right.
And, people would take him to lunch and do this and do that. And, it was a big deal to flash your credit card and all that kind of
Right.
stuff,
Yeah, it was.
right? So, but my dad thought that was foolish because there was interest. And
Right.
he said, why would you pay interest on something that's already gone? Right?
Yep.
This thing has no body, no value. It can never be greater than it was at the time of consumption, like a piece of real estate or something. It's never going to grow. So he said, one of these days you might have a credit card. Don't use it for things that are immediately gone or that are going to be gone in a short period of time.
Right.
Food, gas, anything of that nature it's going to be gone. Don't use a credit card for
Mhm.
that. So,
Okay.
if somebody's going to be foolish enough to let you buy a piece of property on your credit card, okay.
Mhm.
Or a car, maybe. Even though he said
Mhm.
cars depreciate, that's questionable. But
Mhm.
not food.
Mhm.
Just slap $100 bill down on the table and
Right.
take your change and walk out.
Right. And that's what's helping me get out of debt. Because when I go to the grocery store now, I pay cash.
Hmm.
Okay. I mean, and gas, I've already been doing that. Um, I've got certain larger bills that come in. Some of the vendors I know, so I'm able to ask them, um, can I give you $1,000 now and then pay you the balance over the next 2, 3 months? I mean, and that keeps me. I mean, right now, I need to get a roof fixed. And I can go, I think I had a company that came out, this roof on the garage, came out, came out and gave me a bill of a little over $4,000, maybe closer to five. I don't know them well enough to ask. So I'm shopping around to see, because I'm not trying to put it on a credit card. And to make matters worse, most of these companies now, whether they contractors or whatever the companies are that you paying for, I know governments do it. When you use a credit card to pay, they put a surcharge on it so that they can recover the merchant fee that they're being charged through Visa or American Express or MasterCard, whichever one is being used. I mean, I even do it in my own business. So when you come in and charge, if you come in and charge something, we tack on 3%, which is allowed for now. So I mean, I would, and I did, since you mentioned what your father said, maybe, I did buy a building using credit cards. So yes, he's absolutely right. In that case, I was able to do it. What is this? 24 years ago?
Mm.
I was able to do it 24 years ago. And I learned it. I don't know if I told you all this before, but I learned it from first Spike Lee and then Robert Townsend.
Yeah, his whole movie they put on a credit card.
Yep, $25,000.
Yeah.
That, I mean, I said, what? So I figured if they could do that in order to get the right camera to produce, these movies, and I mean, look where they are now.
Right.
I'm going to do the same thing and buy a building. And the only reason I did it was because what was promised to me in 2000, which was a $250,000 signature loan or line of credit, was taken away 9/11 when the industry changed, and everything changed then. And what was available to me in 2000 was not available to me post 9/11. And it didn't help that my name was Taladin Abdul Uqda. I could have been one of those sleeper cells.
Man, just the one wrong phone call, you could have been in Guantanamo for 10 years.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And that's many of the people on this call right now. If you called the wrong person at the wrong time,
Yeah.
even if it was a mistake,
Right. Oh,
you
wrong
could have
number.
been in wrong number, Guantanamo for 10 years. I
Oh,
know somebody basically that kind of happened to.
mhm.
Yeah.
But I tell you, man, I mean, all of these experiences that we've had and continue to have, they are of value to those people that we are looking for as depositors in the credit union.
Yeah.
I mean, I would go so far as to say that, we're starting to do this now.
That's right.
we need to
Mhm.
continue down this path that we're following without the credit union actually being open, because it at this point we're in the process of trying to build a brand and build up trust in the community of people who are already banking somewhere else, right?
Right.
Regardless to where you're banking, we still need the information. None of us know it all. Um, I'm happy to hear stories from any one of us because they become lessons for me, either something I need to do or something I need to stop doing. Speaking of which, and I'll stop right here. Um, I think it was less than a week ago, I read a story from one of these uh, financial gurus that was suggesting that people go back and take another look at I bonds. And it mentioned that period of time when you raised it, Edward, to us. Um, and I immediately went out and did it. And of course, after that initial burst of, I think it was something like, what, 9.2%?
Yeah, it was 9.2%. It was ridiculously wonderful.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to get back. They weren't saying it's back to that, but it does appear as though it's either back or heading towards a higher a dividend number than what is typical, or what is typical for other instruments that you may be looking at, money market CDs or some other return, with the caveat, of course, being that uh, 5 years for full maturity, or you get penalized the last 3 months of dividends you would have been eligible for, but
Right.
for the fact you decided to take it out early.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'm now all of that I just said, that is not language that I was talking before I went and got these I bonds. So that is that is the part of the growth and development that I want to see all of us have. And that's going to then put us in a position where we're going to feel more comfortable in talking about money. Well, what
Right.
did you do with it? And I think at that point, we will realize that money does grow on trees. We just ain't found the right seed. That we haven't found the right nourishment and the time and energy and effort it takes to till that soil and pluck out the weeds so that that money tree will grow. But money does grow on trees, just like everything else in creation.
Man,
You
it
know,
even grows in vacant lots.
hey, look,
I, I'm
even
telling you.
even they have become useful now,
Oh,
because
extremely.
tell me who is not talking about having their own garden for just tomatoes and cucumbers and whatever else they can grow.
Right.
I mean, every time I turn around, there's a program, there's a YouTube, there's a Instagram, Facebook, all this other stuff of people that are growing their own food. I mean, man. I mean, look, I saw, I guess maybe 2 months ago, I saw a video on growing romaine lettuce, celery, and some other vegetables. My wife saw one for bok choy. I saw one for beets. But the point being, right now,
Bok
as I'm
choy,
talking to
man.
you, I've got some romaine planted. I've got some celery planted. And this is the way I'm able to do this. It They literally have a term for it called scrap gardening. SCRAP, like scraps from a table. You eat
Right.
some food. Well, when you cut the bottom of a romaine lettuce or the bottom of the celery off so that you can get to the stalk or get to the leaf, all you got to do is go take that bottom or that bottom stalk of the lettuce or the celery and plant it in the ground.
Yeah.
That's it. And it's going to start to grow.
Yeah.
Now, as it's growing, because of the climate I'm here in Washington, D.C., once it starts to fully bloom, I may only be able to pull off a couple of leaves of romaine lettuce, a celery stalk here and there, but I leave it planted. If I plant several of them, like we're doing, my wife just is planting some bok choy today. So I mean, we are going to be we're going we're not going to reach the point of full sufficiency. I'm not going out and buying no chickens that lay eggs, and all this, but I'll be able to augment some of the food that I consume from my own garden. That's a lesson. That's a lesson that all of us can learn. And it's going to be of a benefit, because I mean, man, even you go in the most of the supermarkets now, you can't find a slicing cucumber for what 99 cents, 79, 80, and if you eating a couple of cucumbers a week, I mean, it may not seem like much, but with gas being $5 a gallon, I mean, if if you can grow 5 cucumbers and take that $5 and put it in your gas tank, you'll at least get a gallon of. That may seem petty, that may seem small, but I'm telling you, um, first thing I learned in hustling on the street was if you can't make dollars, make quarters because they add up. And if you think that's small, if you think you just too that's too small for you to make a difference, then you ain't never spent a night with a mosquito. Because I had one buzzing in my ear last night. That little tiny thing. And at night, you can't see them. You got to literally turn the light on and go hunt for them. Because that little sucker will be buzzing in your ear all night. And when it lands on you, you ain't going to know where that is until you wake up in the morning scratching and itching. And oh, man. So anyway, we just need we need to hear and we need to obey. So I want the best for all of us.
Yeah. So I wanted to go back to, you were talking about the I bonds and, and the 5 years and all of that type of thing. And there were a lot of people in our community at that time that did what you did. And that's, jumped in and got the I bonds. And I've not heard one word of negative feedback from anybody that invested, at that particular time on the return they got for their money. It was an excellent deal. Excellent,
Right.
excellent deal. But my long-term thinking on that goes beyond the individual, and it goes to our community as a whole and
Hmm.
how our communities manage money.
Hmm.
That we get through Zakat and Sadaqah and things like that. And I'm sure, like every other religious institution in this country, that that money goes right down to Chase, Bank of America, PNC, Citibank,
Right.
you name them, goes right into an account that's probably paying zero interest in the checking account, might even have a fee if you're below a certain level,
Right.
or it goes into some kind of a savings account that's paying 1.35% to beat the bank across the street that's paying 1.3%.
Hmm.
And I wonder, and this comes from a discussion I had with one of the local masjids here, that they've raised like $2.3 million toward building a new masjid on the existing site. They want to build a new
Hmm.
one. And their goal is to get to $3 million, but that goal keeps growing because construction costs keep going up.
Keep rising. Right. That's right.
Right. So they had asked me to come on board and be a part of their committee about managing these funds. And our
Hmm.
brother Ishmael Fahmy is one of the people. In fact, he's one of the people that reached out to me to be a part of that group. And I remember I attended the very first meeting that I attended. I made some recommendations because I know exactly where the masjid deposits their money. Been banking with the same people for 40 years. So I know where the money goes. And I said, why don't you diversify out your money? If you're not going to write the check to start turning dirt tomorrow, if this is still a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years down the road, or where you feel like you're going to be solid enough to start turning dirt, why don't you diversify the money?
Right.
And I threw a couple of different scenarios out there. There's an exchange traded fund that's been doing 15 to 18% per year for the last 10 years. There's a real estate investment trust fund that averages between 7 and 11% every year, and so on and so
Hmm.
forth.
Right. Go
And
ahead, because I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop.
it was crickets, number one,
Okay.
right? Like I'm from Mars, and you didn't understand a thing I just said,
Right.
and which was okay. Give everybody a chance to digest. Cool.
Right.
Wait for the next meeting, see what the feedback is. It's about a year later, and I've never been invited back. And I didn't. The thing in my head was, okay, was it too much? Was was there some issue with maybe they thought that these numbers I was talking that there's riba involved, um, but there were no questions
Right.
asked to be answered.
Right.
And I'm not talking about putting all the money. I'm just talking about diversifying some of the money because you got to keep some cash fresh that you can just pop. You can write a check on.
Right.
You can whatever. I'm just talking
Hmm.
about diversification
Right.
and not even talking amounts. Like you
Right.
got to put 40% here. No, I'm just saying, hey, here are some options for us.
Right.
So anyway, Adam, you got your hand up. Go ahead, my brother. Adam, you're on mute if you're talking.
Being now that I'm the treasurer at our masjid, and I'm the treasurer for the North Carolina Council of Imams, the big deal is, brother, is riba, or our perceived idea of riba. They might not ask the question, and you got crickets and you left the meeting. You didn't hear the comments after you left the meeting.
Right.
You didn't hear the arguments after you left the meeting.
Well, exactly, because the meeting was over. I mean, I stayed throughout the entire
Well,
meeting.
the meeting after the meeting, let me put it that way.
Exactly,
Right. The
exactly.
process. The
There's always,
process.
the meeting wasn't over. You just
Right.
go
Right.
leave. See, I just got a text in today on something. And this brother Yusuf Rios put forth a text, the decline of black mosque. Despite the overall increase of U.S. mosques, African American mosques are closing at an alarming rate. That's what he put. And he blames on attendance, key stressors, leadership, or whatever, right? And he is proposing doing a study. And Brother Rashad Abdul Rahman answered him, what are the sources for these findings? And going on. But to see, I don't care how much he's proposing a study. I don't care how much studying they're going to do. You know, and this is what I put on the my contribution. There might be validity in the numbers around the country that he's proposing, but I have some different reasons why this is so. Maybe a real discussion might be useful and reveal reasons that a scientific study might not come up with. You understand? Because the scientific study is not going to know about the meeting after the meeting or the conversations or
Right.
why African Americans, for some reason or other, they're worried about Reba, or they're worried about Quran and Sunnah, or they're worried about the community of Imam W. Muhammad being a what's that word they came up with? Deviated community, right?
Right. They actually said worse things about Imam Muhammad back in the day,
Well,
but they're
they
saying this
did.
about us now.
They
We're
did
a
now, but
deviated community.
now they are willing. They're comfortable with coming above the board and saying it. They never said it to our face. Now they are comfortable.
Never.
So the problem is Imam Muhammad addressed Reba, and he said an exorbitant amount of interest.
Right.
But there still has to be a discussion as to what is allowed and what is not allowed.
Hmm.
And to put money into a non-interest bearing account, and your money is being affected by the time value of money, you're still not escaping that.
Right.
And that's the discussion. One of the discussions we had to have amongst ourselves. Because right now, a lot of people that say they're in our community are affected by the whispering and the things that are being said
Right.
that they can't address. So they become, they balk. They step
Hmm.
back. They got to
Hmm.
apologize for mentioning Imam Muhammad's name. I can hear it in their talk. They claim they follow the Imam, but they're always trying to apologize for using his name as though they're doing something wrong. And when you do that and your mind has become infected, right?
Yep.
That's what you want to do in sports. You want to get in that opponent's mind.
Right.
They balk and they change. or they change their discipline, and then you're able to overcome it. That's what they're doing, and that's to me, in my opinion, my humble opinion, that's why our roles and our masteries are declining because our youth are being plucked off by language.
Mhm.
You understand? They're not willing to commit to this today because they think there's something wrong with it. Why? Because their brothers are always saying that stuff for love.
Mhm.
Especially man Muhammad. You understand?
Right.
And that goes into their mind. So they feel comfortable going down there with the Arabs who say a stock for love when they show up.
Hmm.
They don't want them there. And that's what we're dealing with right now. And I'm gonna be quiet for this, but Imam Talib, in the things that you mentioned about being out of debt, here's something I started doing back in 2023. I have this Apple card, and I can charge whatever I want to that card. And as long as I pay the balance at the end of the month, I don't go
Right.
charge interest, right?
Right. Right.
But when I use the card, I earn cash back,
Right.
right? When
Right.
I use the card. So I just happened to look at my account. And now that card is being managed by Goldman Sachs, right?
Hmm.
Okay.
Hoping I don't use it, I don't pay it off. But anyway, so, you know how much money I have in that account and that saving account with Goldman Sachs now?
What?
$943.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
follow?
Yes, sir. Yes.
$943.
Yep.
And all I do, I use the card. I mean, whenever I go out in the public, I'm constantly swiping the card,
Right.
constantly,
Right.
whatever. Or it's
You
on my
use
phone.
it, you use it as cash, basically.
I use it as cash,
Yeah.
Hmm.
right?
Right.
And I pay them the money that I use it for,
Yes.
and I get a little teeny bit of interest. And I think the interest is like 3.5% now. And I get cash back.
Hmm.
And the majority of the money I'm getting is cash back.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yep.
That'll work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
That's wonderful. That's the way you got to
And
play the game.
that's my garden. I'm growing my food.
So Adam, think about this. Think if our institutions acted the way you act, because our institutions could have an Apple Card just as well.
Hmm.
Right.
From a
Yep.
school to buy paper for the printer,
Right.
whatever. They could do the exact same thing that you're doing. Pay that bill at the end of every month, look up at the end of the year, and have X number of dollars that they've earned cash back that they can use to help sustain that school.
Hmm.
Yep.
Hmm.
There's no reason our institutions can't be smart enough to do that exact same thing.
Right. That's right. That's right. Hey, look, you I'm telling you, I got to do this, man. If if they only listen, if they only listen. Look, one of the last community meetings we had at Masjid Muhammad, I presented something. First, I presented something to the leadership, including the treasurer. Nice woman. But these are not business people. But I told them, gave them an example that, just to kind of pique people's interest in what I was telling them, because right now a lot of the community, when they pay their zakat, their sadaqah, they use a credit card. So with a community like Masjid Muhammad, I've seen numbers where over the course of a year, let's say they collect $300,000 in credit cards, or 300,000 in credit cards. I told the treasurer, and I told her after I did it myself, so that I would have some idea as to what I'm talking about. I could give her a real example. When my company decided that we were going to tack on a 3% fee that is the average of what we pay to accept all credit cards, with American Express being a little higher than the others. Gave her the example that if you collect $300,000 a year in credit cards from the community, you are losing $9,000 simply by not charging them the fee. Now, the fee, mind you, if I'm charging $100, the community is only seeing 97. So you ain't gave the $100. So I told them, when I use my credit card, I drop $3 somewhere in for Sadaka. That $3 I'm dropping in because my intent was, in paying my zakat, I'm giving you $50 for zakat and $50 for the building fund. They're not charging that merchant fee. And I can't understand why. You can't claim that it's riba, because if I'm going to follow that logic, the riba comes whether you get it or you give it. In this case, you're giving 3% interest or 3% fee, whatever you want to call it, to Visa and MasterCard or American Express, however that's set up with your provider. Instead of doing that, they go out and get handheld devices that you don't have to go back to the treasurer where they're collecting the money. They can walk around to you and you can just tap your card, put in the amount, and boom, it goes to the community. It goes to the masjid. So instead of trying to reduce their costs, they thought it was good enough to just get more money, not recognizing that every time somebody taps their card, you're paying for that. Now, I thought that a conscious Muslim would say, you know what, brother, you're right. If I want to give $20 in sadaqah, I'm gonna just give them 21 to help them to help cover the cost of that fee. But they ain't doing that, man. They're not doing that. And we keep losing money when we can be gaining money. And
It's obstinance.
Okay.
It's just straight
That's a good word.
obstinance,
Mhm.
right?
That's one of
Is
the words I
that-
happen to know what it means.
Yeah. You
Yep.
don't know nothing. You don't know nothing.
Yep.
We got this covered,
Yep.
right? We got this.
Yeah. We had it before you got here, and we're
Right.
gonna have it when you gone.
Exactly. Oh my goodness.
And
It just,
it doesn't help that I'm one of those who left Masjid Muhammad for what, maybe 3 decades? I mean, it was always home, because I mean, that's the community that was my responsibility to reverence the womb that bore me. So that was always home.
yeah.
But
But don't
yeah,
don't
go
feel bad,
ahead.
brother. Don't feel bad, brother. I'm the treasurer at the masjid now. I know they hate when that happens.
I
I
can
come to I come to
imagine.
Juma, I come to Juma last Friday, not this past Friday, Friday before that. And one brother's over the administrative council said, "Follow me." I went around to the side of the masjid, and we have a garden that's in little garden enclosed by a fence, and the garden had been cleaned out. I mean, they got rid of the weeds and everything, and had everything packed in the bags.
Mhm.
And he was telling me some young brothers had done that. I said, Alhamdulillah.
Yes, sir.
He said, we need to give them something.
Uh,
I said, give them something like what?
mhm.
Well, maybe, something for their pocket. I said, but I've been slaving around here for over 30, 40 years.
Right. Ain't nobody put that.
Ever gave me no money. I said, no, don't give them no money.
Right.
They might have done it for the pleasure of Allah.
Right.
So anyway, they were arguing, but brother, we're trying to get these young brothers to volunteer. We did, okay, all right. So I went inside and I saw one of the young brothers. He really probably was the main one. So I said, yeah, brother, I saw what y'all did on the side. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, brother, we did it to please Allah. I said, okay.
Mhm.
All right, alhamdulillah. That's good, man. So I went back and told the brother what he said to please Allah. Now, how can we reward him more than that?
Right.
I said, why don't y'all go in the masjid at the Jummah and announce what they did and everybody say Allahu Akbar.
Right.
They'll be all right.
Right.
Well, this is a new day now. Ain't no new day.
No,
That's the
ain't no
same
new.
spirit I had when I did it a
Right.
long time ago.
And there's a ayat in Quran where Allah says work so that Allah sees your work, so that the angels see your work, and the people. What
Exactly.
what happened to that?
I don't know, bro.
And
But
look,
that's
if he was that concerned about it, and
well,
I
give him this
understand it,
money.
then how come you ain't go in your own pocket?
Exactly. Exactly. But that I've been knowing the brother for years, so that really encapsulated what I see in him.
Right.
That's what he
Right.
would do things for.
Yes. Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
So that's the problem. We need to quit trying to figure out these ways to get the young people involved in something as though it's a different spirit.
Right. Right.
It's
Yeah.
like
No.
one brother said on my program about 6 months ago that he came to his grandson to get something done around the masjid, and he said, "What's in it for me?"
Mhm. Right.
And my next program was, "They are not the ones we're looking for."
Right. That's right. That's right.
So don't feel bad, brother Tyler. You got the people all
Yeah,
up
man.
for it.
Well, look, speaking of which, I had a similar um occurrence that during just before Ramadan, um, I was trying to think in terms of how, as a community, we could show our appreciation to the brothers that do security, brothers and sisters that do security. And so rather than take that to the community and have it get shot down, just before Ramadan, I bought a case of dates and gave it, to them to be, distributed amongst the security folk. And didn't think no more of it until, I guess maybe a couple of weeks into Ramadan, the brother I had given them to distribute, he told the head of security what I had done, and I don't know what the words that were used, but essentially he was told, no, we can't accept that. Just give it out to, give it out to everyone in the community. And at the end of the day, it didn't matter to me whether it went to security or what they did with it after they got it. But I would remind us, and I can't remember the title of the surah, but there's an entire surah where 90% of the ayats ask, which of the favors of your Lord will you deny? So here's somebody that's making an effort to do something for you, to show you their appreciation for what you do, not only each and every Friday, but each and every time that door is cracked at the masjid. So all the programs, when the Boy Scouts come in, security is there. When the sisters have a meeting, security is there. Brothers have a meeting, security is there. Food is being distributed, security is there. As far as I know, all volunteer. So all I was trying to do was show some appreciation. I ain't asked nobody else nothing, didn't tell anyone else anything. Just did it. And even at that, I learned that gift, that favor wasn't necessarily, I don't know what the reason was that it couldn't be accepted. It didn't matter, because once he told me that it was passed out to people in the community, alhamdulillah, it didn't matter to me whether security folk got it, but you did put it to use. It's not like you threw it away, or it's not like you came and gave it back to me. So, I mean, it sometimes I'm not fully understanding just how we're thinking. I mean, obstinance was a good word, to use the example that you gave, Adam. I mean, that is common, and I still see these leftover residue that we have before we became Muslim. And it was, I think it was just last week, we had a brother on. I don't know if it was that brother, Michael Hamid, I think his name is.
Yeah, Michael was with us last week.
Yeah. He said something, and I wrote it down, so I can't give you the exact quote, but essentially what he said was, we done gone from niggas to Muslims. We ain't changed. We just changed the words. We still think small. We still act. We still act out of emotion. We can't move forward because there's too much stuff allowed. Oh, brother, there's too much you wanting to label whatever I'm doing haram and not halal. And so we ain't gonna get nowhere thinking like that, acting like that. Even considering those who are building. I look at some of the communities around that even we consider to be successful. You know, we want to be like them, but they're still not growing. They're resting on what they did or what they've done. And I don't know which ones. I'm sure they're out there somewhere, but I don't see, as I look around in many of these masjids, I don't see where they are raising up young people to take over, to assume these positions, to even establish new positions to move the community forward. I mean, the khutbahs are wonderful. But as we said on the street, you just talking a good game. It sounds good, but there's little to no implementation. There's little to no follow-up. There's little to no opportunity to move the community forward in doing things that you, Imam, can't do. Now, either you're going to continue blocking what it is that we're trying to do, or you'll get run over. Whoever the Imam is. I'm not speaking of Masjid Muhammad, but what I'm learning to do now, when I left Masjid Muhammad 30 years ago, I left without anyone knowing. I didn't announce it. I didn't act ugly about it. In other words, I was not looking to create any fitna. But just the fact that I left, there are people at Masjid Muhammad right now that consider that to be fitna because I left. I didn't say nothing. I didn't do anything. I didn't even try to encourage other people to come. I just left. And I left for what I think, even to this day, was good reason. And the reason that I know that it was good, because it's the same thing that exists right now. I left because the community, a group of brothers sanctioned by the community, decided that, and this was in the 90s, in the early 90s, they decided that they were going to build New Africa and wanted contributions to come from the community. And I believed in what it was they were doing. So I offered contributions to the community every single week. You asked for it, you got it. Maybe 3, 4 months later, matter of fact, I might be able to be a little bit more specific. how long it was, but I went to ask the treasurer how much money had been collected because I hadn't heard any reports or anything of that nature. And I was told to go ask one of the brothers one of the maybe 6 brothers who were directly working on the project, how it was going. So I went and asked. Long story short, they had collected a little over $9,000. When I went back to look at my checkbook, I had contributed at least half of that 9,000. So I'm looking around thinking to myself, damn, if I contributed half the money, then what are the other people doing? And so, I don't know. I think it was discouraged. Might be a good word how I felt then. But coming back now, it's not discouragement. What I'm feeling more now is I'm feeling sorry for you. And how I choose to respond at my age, my maturity, having delved a little bit more deeply into my religion by, just doing more study, I want to take a different approach. And Allah hasn't blessed me yet to know what that approach is in terms of having an impact. But it's coming. I know that it's coming because it keeps turning over in my head. I've been successful at everything else that I've done except bringing Masjid Muhammad up to the modern times, where they can actually see the potential and the growth, not just in this lifetime, but a plan for the future. They can see that. I mean, I see it. If you want to fault me for anything, it's not being able to articulate that vision to those who don't have it. So I pray Allah that I've grown, and it's that growth that Allah has allowed me to achieve that I now want to bring into the process. That's where Graceline comes in. That's where Omar and the things that he's doing with these webinars and the webinars that we've done in the past and the ones that we talking about doing in the future. I mean, that's been that growth and development. That's part of the vision that I want to be able to explore with other Muslims who I'm in concert with, who I'm praying with and supporting and paying zakat and sadaqah. And when you ask, I give. But man, I'm telling you, they a piece of work. I mean, they've had, since I came back, they've had 3 leadership conferences where the leaders of the community come together and they meet to discuss where the community is going. I'm not considered to be a leader because I haven't been invited. That's the community I'm dealing with. And because of this newfound growth and development that I have, there's going to be one or two things that's going to happen. And I hope that it's the latter. I'm either going to start my own masjid where I'm the leader, which I can only be if people follow me, or I'm going to stay there, and if it's Allah's will, show them what the possibilities are. And I pray that it's the latter. Because, at my age and some of the things that, I'm planning for later years in my life, it does not include becoming a resident imam. I've already got a sense of what those duties and responsibilities are like, just being an associate or an assistant imam in the communities, in the two communities, actually three communities that we started, and two of them actually being the same one. They just changed names from one point in time to another. So, look, that's my story. I'm gonna stick to it. I don't need to go and get any online therapy. You all are my therapy. you know. So I'm in a solid state of mind. I don't think I'm talking crazy. I'm just as sane now as I was back then. Except I know a little more now. And that knowledge is what's keeping me grounded. Just knowing what my purpose on this earth is keeping me grounded. The fact that you don't know, one day Allah may open up your heart and allow you to be able to see it. But I don't have to pick up a phone and call no 800 number or go online or YouTube or ask for help. Y'all are my therapy, and I thank Allah for you. So that's my story. I'm gonna stick to it.
Well, that's all. That's a good story, and that's what you have planned for yourself, your vision you see for yourself is good. Obviously, I think about when you were talking, I was thinking about Prophet Muhammad and his mission in Mecca and what was going on, during those years when he started his prophecy in his call to Medina. It was not in his head.
Right,
You know what? I'm gonna go to Medina and see what I can
right,
get up there because these people around here are crazy,
right,
you know.
right, right.
Medina called him,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right,
Because of what he was consistently doing in Mecca, the message
right.
that he had consistently in Mecca. Somebody was like, man, they crazy down there, but we could need
They
that
don't
kind
want
of,
them. I'll
we
take
need
them.
that
Right,
voice. We
right,
need that voice up here,
right.
So when you were talking, I was hoping that if you ever really truly have a strong dream of leading a community,
Mm-hmm.
that there's a community out there, somebody in a community out there is hearing your voice,
Right,
whether it's here with us, whether it's Study Al Islam, something else that you're doing,
Right.
and they say, call that brother. You
Right.
know,
Right.
I've been listening to him now for 3, 4, 5 years,
Mhm.
and the things that he's saying, we need that kind of leadership that's
Mhm.
here. And that's always, to me, that's always the best way to assume a leadership position
Mhm.
is when people have already chosen and invested in you.
Right.
This is what we need. Go get that one right there. Don't let
Mhm.
him get across, don't let him cross the street.
Right.
Catch him before he crosses the street. Bring bring him back over here.
Right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
Right. 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 Because you're right in the sense that leader leaders don't choose themselves; they're chosen.
right.
So, um, and we are warned against those who want to assume those types of roles. So yeah, you're right. I mean, that's what it's going to be. Um, but we'll see what Allah has in store. Yep, we'll see what He has in store. Yeah.
I am going to leave. I have a 79-year-old sister,
Mm.
and we are getting together today to give her a special Mother's Day
Oh man,
brunch.
Alhamdulillah.
So
Yeah,
she's been in
but let's
kind
close
of,
out because
yes,
it's close
yes.
the door for me.
All right, brother. Well, you go ahead and close us out
Yeah,
then.
yeah, alhamdulillah. Well, let me just be respectful of everybody else. I mean, did anybody else want to offer anything before we close out? Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربنا حسنة في الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. Oh Allah, give us good in this world, good in the after, and defend us from the torment of the fire. Alhamdulillahi Rabbi Alameen.
I mean, thank
All
everyone
right.
for your
Wa
participation
alaikum
today,
salam.
and everybody have a wonderful day. And if you have a living mother or auntie or whatever, make sure that you give her the greeting, give her a hug, and appreciate her.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.